This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. I'm Matt Martin. Sitting in with me is Cole Shooter, and on the line right now is the Car Pro Jerry Reynolds. Jerry, how are you doing out there in Dallas?
Hey, doing good, guys. How are y'all doing this morning?
I'm doing. Now, I got a question. We're doing good. I got a question for you. Let's see. What you're driving right now is a convertible, and it is hot in the Metroplex. How's that working out for you?
Well, actually, this is a coupe. This
okay.
is
I thought it said convertible on it.
No, it's not.
That Maserati that you had before was a convertible, right?
Yes. Now, that was a convertible, and boy, did I hate to see that thing go back on Monday morning. But, you know, it's like I wasn't overly excited about this Infiniti G60 Red Sport. But, you know, it's like I said on the air last Saturday on y'all's station, it wouldn't have mattered what I had this week after that Maserati. It was going to be a letdown. I mean, that's just the life of a car reviewer. But this is a nice car. You know, it's not one of the more popular cars that you'll see on the road a lot, primarily because two-door cars just don't work for a whole lot of people. But I will tell you this car is well engineered. It drives great. It's got 400 horses under the hood. A lot of luxury inside. The seats are just super, super comfortable. And it's got several drive modes. When you put this thing in sport mode, it turns on a really nice-sounding exhaust system, which you don't typically think of at a Nissan products overall. But it sounds great. It's got a lot of get up and go, and yet getting almost 30 miles to the gallon out on the highway. I kind of like this car.
That's incredible. So it's 400 horsepower. Is it front-wheel drive?
No, it's rear-wheel drive.
That's really cool. I mean, you don't see that as much anymore.
No, you really don't. It's standard with rear-wheel drive. The one that I have this week is got the optional all-wheel drive system, which is really nice for performance. What that does for you is it shifts the power evenly between all four wheels. So when you jump on this car, the steering wheel doesn't move. It stays in a straight line. You know, it's got a really nice takeoff. I was just super surprised at it. I had this car in a sedan a few years ago, and it was nice. And the 400 horses certainly do perform. But this car comes in two-door or four-door. It's got what I would call a decent back seat. You could put two probably teenagers back there. Two full-size adults might be a little bit tight, and the way that roof slopes back, this thing's got a real fastback look. But the roof slopes pretty dramatically toward the rear. That cuts down on the headroom. That's why I don't think this would be a great car for adults in the back seat. But boy, two adults in the front seats are extremely comfortable in this car. It's got a lot of seat travel. This is a car that somebody, 6'5" could drive. And that's one of the things I'm always looking for is, some of the cars I drive, if you're more than 6 foot, you're going to be uncomfortable. This car is really nice.
So is it a two-door?
Yes, it's a two-door coupe.
Okay, gotcha.
And nice trunk space. It's got some beautiful 20-inch wheels. Just a nice-looking car. $64,000 on the window sticker, but there's a lot of room in that.
For a luxury car, that's really not that bad considering how much a lot of things sell for these days.
Yeah, that's not bad anymore, Cole. I mean, that's kind of where we've settled in price-wise over the past few years on a luxury car. It compares very well with Cadillacs that are out there that are of similar size. Probably a little cheaper than some of the two-door BMWs, for instance, the 4 Series.
It's interesting. You were talking about the sloped roof earlier. I used to review cars for KFYO back when I was still here around the time that the Car Pro show first came on.
Yeah.
And I am 6'3" and change. And so fitting into a car is difficult. Even, you were talking about the sloped roof. I've even seen this problem with big sedans. Getting a guy my size into the back seat, the back of my head is still going to be touching the roof, even in my wife's big Chevy Impala, just because of the way that roof is tapered.
And a lot of it, too, Cole, is, most of the luxury cars have power sliding moonroofs, and that cuts 2 inches off
of
the headroom.
I mean, it's a frustrating thing. And one of my least favorite things on so many cars, being a big guy, is when you get in. That's why I always like BMWs, is the seat goes so far back, you're not going to bash your knees into stuff. And I get really picky about that very quickly. But unfortunately, that's just the life of a big guy.
Yeah, that's right. And some of the cars, like the Maserati I had last weekend, it had a fairly low convertible roof. And you kind of learn to just go in head first and then swing the rest of yourself.
You're like, dive in.
Yes, exactly.
But it was so much fun to drive, apparently.
Oh, it was amazing. The review and videos up at our website, carprousa.com.
Yeah, and the Infiniti will be up on Monday, right?
Correct, sir.
All right. What news do you have going on Car Pro USA?
If you go to the menu at the top right and click on news, there's one story I wanted to bring everybody's attention to. I've been writing this story for a couple of weeks and researching it. It's a new issue that has popped up just in the past few years with push-button start systems. There have been a number of deaths because of the push-button start, and here's what happens. People get in their car, they're not used to the push-button start yet, and for those who don't know, all you got to do is have the key on you to start the car. You don't have to turn anything, put your foot on the brake and hit a button and the car starts. Well, then when they get home and they park in the garage, if their hands are full or if they're distracted or if, they're on their phone, for instance, they get out of the car, and cars are so quiet today you can't hear them run. They get out and forget to turn the car off. Then we had a death just last week, which spurred this story with a Toyota. Elderly guy gets out of his car. He ran up to get a Subway sandwich, came back, forgot to turn his car off. His house overnight filled with carbon monoxide, and they found him and his dog dead the next day.
Oh.
And when you start looking into this issue, this is happening a lot. And it seems to be with the elderly people whose hearing is probably not as good. This problem has run rampant in some of the retirement communities in Florida. And Toyota came out, and I was curious about this. Toyota came out, and I had this story last week on CarProUSA.com about Toyota saying for 2020 they're going to equip all their cars with an engine shutoff. So the engine shuts off after 5 minutes or so. And it hit me as curious. I said, well, what is that about? I mean, why suddenly? Well, come to find out, it was this gentleman's death in a Toyota 4Runner that spurred this. Toyota's going to, and several manufacturers have done this in the past. I mean, Ford and General Motors and Fiat Chrysler have had a system in place for over 5 years where the cars were shut off. You can't leave them running for more than, I think it's 20 minutes with the Fords and the General Motors, and then it'll shut itself off. So it's really more about education, reminding people, shut your car off, when you get where you're going. And I can see where it could be easy to forget that.
So I have a question for you, and I don't know that it matters. Now, I had to take my vehicle in to get it fixed at a dealership, and the dealership, I won't say which one, but they essentially put you in line behind everybody else, which makes sense, but you have to leave your vehicle there, even if it's going to take a couple days for you to get in. They won't schedule a time for you to bring it in. You have to bring it in and just leave it there. Is that normal?
Well, it's normal when you don't have a lot of dealers around,
Okay.
When there's not a lot of competition. Most dealers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, for instance, will take an appointment, and they'll say, have your car here at 7 o'clock on Friday morning. We'll have it out that day. I think it's ridiculous to have a car just sitting there waiting to get worked on for more than a few hours.
Well, they told me it was going to be at least a couple days probably, but I had to leave it there to keep it in line, or they would just put it at the back of the line again the next time I brought it.
That's silly.
That's what happens when there's no competition for that service work.
So what you're saying is that's what I get for living in Lubbock.
I was not going to say that.
Maybe we ought to just open up our own dealership.
There you go.
I was thinking
Jerry will help us.
I will. But no, that's, it's summertime service. And there's an article on my FAQ page at the website about dealing with summer service because truth is, guys, cars just break more in the summertime.
Yeah.
And the dealers get frustrated. It's harder for them to schedule things. But with the software that's out there today, for instance, in the service department, in the dispatch area, they could schedule these cars if they wanted to. You're going to run into issues from time to time. You're going to get in the middle of a job, and you're not going to have the right part, and you've got the car tore down, and that's going to tie up a stall. Things happen. But still, by and large, with good dispatch principles, they can get your car in and out, and it doesn't need to just sit there.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jerry, thank you so much for calling in. CarProUSA.com is where you can get all the reviews and everything else we've talked about today, as well as you're on our radio station here at 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO every Saturday from 11 to 1. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Good to talk to you, Matt.
All right. Talk to you later. You have a good day.